This slide addresses combined non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. So the proposed 2026 target is 108. Similar to fatalities, recent trends have been relatively flat with some year-to-year fluctuation. Staff are proposing to match the state's target here rather than introduce additional local adjustments. And this maintains relative consistency with state assumptions while reinforcing the importance of improving safety outcomes for people walking and biking. So to summarize, the proposed 2026 targets continue the same policy direction of that the region has followed for the past 2 years. We're holding the line at fatalities, allowing modest decreases where data supports them, and aligning with state targets where appropriate. And these targets acknowledge that data lags and limitations of 5-year rolling averages, but they still serve as an important policy signal that reducing deaths and serious injuries remain a top regional priority. And as an added context for these targets, as you all know, the region recently completed a white paper that establishes the framework for a regional safety messaging campaign. And that work that was just completed sets the foundation for more detailed development in the next fiscal year, with support from a dedicated regional safety messaging work group, marketing professionals, local artists, and more broad public involvement. And at the same time, staff are in the process of updating the regional safety plan into a more action-oriented regional safety action plan. And that effort will put these targets into clearer focus that connect the numbers to specific strategies in that plan and investments aimed at reducing deaths and serious injuries across the region. So with that, I'd like to open to the floor to any discussion. And as a reminder, staff are requesting tax recommendation to advance these targets to the policy board.
Thank you, Dan. I think I see Amy's hand up. Go ahead, Amy.
Oh, okay. I think Joe was first, Sherry. So
Oh, Joe. Okay, thank you.
Oh, it's no big deal. Thanks, Amy. So just clarify, Dan, the network that we're talking about of roadways, are these state maintained roads or do they also include roads that are maintained by the localities?
These are all roadways in the region.
Okay. And then just a little fine point as I'm looking at your table here, serious injuries, you have the identified with an S, but then the next line is SI. So should that be SI in parentheses?
Yes, thanks for catching that. That's a typo.
That's it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Amy.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're
Sherry.
welcome.
Okay, so Dan, maybe I might have missed this. I apologize. So how this 2020, the proposed to come to the to 107 killed, right? And this is for all, or is this, well, that's just non-motorized. So this is for all. 107, that's for motorized.
Yeah, the 107 figure is total.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I don't want to get on my soapbox, but these should be zero, right? I mean, so why are we even tolerating 107 or 108 non-motorized? We just had several people killed on bicycles, right? Around. I'm not going to pick on any particular locality because it happens everywhere. And, we just had a very prominent person killed just as a pedestrian. Okay, it's unacceptable. So to say that we're okay with 107 is to me disingenuous, right? We should say, no, this has to stop. And motorists have to slow down and they have to obey the laws and they can't drive impaired, right? I mean, we just, there has to be some way that we message this. And I know we're working on that in other settings here and other activities, but this is what we're going to be promoting, right? So if on one hand, we're saying, you know, we don't accept any fatalities. And yet we're here setting a performance measure of, oh, it's okay to have 107. I don't understand that. That sits with me a little bit. That's hard for me to reconcile. And the other thing that I've heard whenever I've seen these deaths, particularly with the cyclists, is, oh, they shouldn't be riding on these roads, right? They don't belong on these roads. Why are they on these roads? This road can't accommodate bicycles. Okay, that's the prominent message that people send out when there are these fatalities. So again, I don't want to get on a whole long soapbox about it, but I do think that we need to put this into context that this is based on some kind of analysis that we've done. However, Vision Zero, there should be zero is the goal and not in 2050, but today. Zero, especially for the non-motorized and the people who are biking and walking. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Did I see Barb Smith's hand raised? Okay, maybe not. Okay,
I
so
was gonna
Miles.
hold until later.
Okay, thank you, Barb. Go ahead, Miles. Did you have something?
Yes, the only thing I wanted to highlight, and I think Dan hit this on the presentation, but in setting these safety targets, we're basically setting a target where we are looking at a 5-year average where 4 years are already baked into the calculation. And so, that even if we hit 107, I think it would require only 60 fatalities in 2026. So I guess to Amy's point, I completely understand it. I think the challenge is, since this is that 5-year average that we're setting targets for and not like an annual performance, we already know what we've done in the past. So we're trying to recognize that there's a history that's baked into this as well, while still being as aspirational. So this 107 does really reflect a significant decrease in the number of people killed year over year. And I mean, I think in particular, we had this discussion a few years ago, and it is really not reflective of the trends that we're seeing. It is a bending the curve back down and heading towards zero. So I did just want to make sure that that's clear, and I think we can definitely highlight that more in the board presentation. But the challenge with all of this is you've got that 4 years of data, the 80% that Dan mentioned, already baked in. So there's only so much we can do year over year.
Thank you, Miles. Any other discussion?
I had something to mention, Sherry.
Yes, Barb.
In the chat, I put links to a program, a national program called Road Safety Champion Program. And the UVA Center for Transportation Studies offers these classes, but you can also register through the Rural Safety Center organization. They're really good classes. They're virtual. They're about 4 hours at a time, and they go over transportation safety culture, transportation plans, road plans for localities. There's a lot of good discussion and good ideas for what each of our jurisdictions can do to prevent serious injury and fatal crashes in our localities. So, ways to get that number down. And, I think it's a really great program, and I think very valuable. And I encourage not only the jurisdictions to participate in it, but also TPO staff as we're working on the regional transportation plan. I think it would have some good information that could help guide that plan as well. Thanks.
Thanks for sharing that, Barb. So there was something in the chat from Joe, Dan, that maybe we could consider, we can discuss instead of using the word killed. He suggested that maybe we change that wording to fatalities instead of killed, and I think that would be a little more sensitive too. I kind of agree with Joe on that, if we could change that language.
Yes, noted. We can change that.
Oh, good. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Dan. Okay. Yes, it's a sensitive topic. We don't want to see anybody killed, so um, it's good that we're trying to plan, trying to plan this out. So if there's no further discussion, do we want to go ahead and take a vote or a motion to put this plan in place with the noted correction to change the word kill to facilities? Do we think this is something that we want to approve?
Yeah, I'm happy to make that motion.
Thank you, Joe. Do we have a second?
This is Amy, I'll second.
Thank you, Amy. So all those in favor for the roadway safety target plan that Dan has presented with that language change, if you're in favor of that, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Very well, so the action is approved. Thank you so much for your input, everybody, and the work that you've put into this. Dan, we really appreciate it. We'll go ahead and move on to the transportation agenda updates. If we're ready to go ahead and get an update from Wood Hudson from DRPT.
Sure thing. We have a couple things of note for the board. First off is it is our grant season. So our systems are open to receive grants. That is primarily for our transit agencies and for anybody that is interested in applying for a technical assistance, demo assistance, or workforce development grant from DRPT. Those close the 1st of February. So if there are questions regarding how to apply or if agency has any needs, please reach out to me, and I'm happy to assist with those. The other point of business is that DRPT has provided all the MPOs with copies of the draft transit TIP project lists. I know that was on the agenda for today, but got moved to the next meeting. We are continuing to monitor the approval of those and are asking MPOs if they have any questions to reach out to us directly so we can assist and provide any additional details that are needed as the TIP process continues to proceed towards adoption and final federal approval in September of 2026. That concludes my short updates for today. I'm happy to take questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Wood. I appreciate the update. All right, if there's no questions for Wood, we'll go ahead and move on to an update from GRTC. Ms. Robinson?
It's actually going to be me,
Corey.
Mr. Robinson. Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Good morning, everybody. I will begin with a reminder that on January 26th, the GRTC Route 88 will retire and transition to Link Microtransit instead. This change gives riders more flexibility and helps them reach more destinations in the Broad Rock area. As part of GRTC's open access network, Link continues to be provided at no cost to riders. Meanwhile, Powhatan Link will soon begin offering 24-hour and advanced ride booking, which gives riders more certainty and flexibility when planning their trips. Next is a small update on GRTC's operator training. GRTC recently upgraded its bus driving simulator, replacing some decades-old equipment with some modern systems that feel much closer to real-world bus operations. This gives operators a safe, controlled space when practicing decision-making, safety, and de-escalation tactics before getting behind the wheel themselves. And finally, GRTC received a $25,000 grant from the Community Foundation to support a dedicated transit access partnership or TAP coordinator. This role is going to focus on fundraising, building partnerships, and outreach to strengthen, tap, and support the Zero Fare program. This grant is an important step towards sustaining zero fare transit for the region. And that wraps up my agency updates for this month. I'm happy to field any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, Corey. That's great. We're getting some service over there in Powhatan. That's wonderful news. All right, we'll go ahead and get an update from John O'Keefe with Ride Finders.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At Ride Finders, we attended the Walmart Distribution Center's grand reopening out in Sutherland, Virginia. It's a rural area that does have employees that come from the Richmond area as well as points south, and it supports more than 750 employees. We did it in December, start 2 new van pools. One was coming from Portsmouth, going to the Defense Supply Center in Richmond, as well as one coming from Staunton, stopping with a stop in Powhatan, going to Fort Pickett. We're continuing to work with GRTC's procurement department on our new van pool RFP to bring on more van pool vendors into our Ride Finders program, as well as responding to some of the requests that for the NTD data for the year end. Worked with GRTC on that. We developed park and ride lot survey, working with GRTC in Goochland County on that. We're still continuing to work on several grant applications for submissions to DRPT, as Mr. Hudson announced this morning, as they're coming to an end. We completed and submitted the compliance documentation, fulfilling all required corrective actions outlined in DRPT's final compliance reviews for FY22 to FY24. And the last thing I wanted to mention, Madam Chair, was we launched the Count It, Change It in the Tri-Cities. This is a carpool and van pool incentive program through the Connecting VA Agile platform with DRPT. It's an incentive program that allows new members who live or work in the Tri-Cities region to earn up to $150 by recording 30 non-drive alone round trip commutes within 90 days. And the drive alone commuters are a targeted audience. And I'll be glad to answer any questions anybody may have, Madam Chair, and that'll be the end of my update.
Thank you, John. That's wonderful. We got some incentives to people to kind of participate in that.
Yes, ma'am.
Good news.
Thank you.
Okay, did we have a hand up by somebody? Let's see. Okay. Maybe Sid did a chat, but I think he's gone now.
It was an accident.
Oh, okay, Sid, thank you. All right, so we'll go on. Can we get an update from VDOT?
Yes, thank you. So the
you.
Commonwealth Transportation Board, they met last week and they had a ton to talk about. So I'll hit some of the highlights. They talked about at their work session, at their workshop, talked about regulations at rest areas, allowing opportunities for events in the parking lot potentially, as well as regulations related to outdoor advertising and directional signage. So those were some of the work session items. One of the big work session items you all might be interested in is the discussion on transportation alternatives. So there were 109 pre-applications, 8 screen out decisions, meaning applications that did not meet the criteria to move forward. And then the final full applications, there are almost 90 of those. We have about $131.3 million in total requests for funding. Something we do want to share and have you all note is for the MPO. The MPO gets its own kind of funding allocation to determine how to distribute that. Richmond has about 4.7 million to consider how those funds will support projects. I'll be honest, we had a lot of applications this year. We had about $40 million in ask in the Richmond district, and we have about $10 million to allocate. So it's going to be a tough transportation alternatives round. It's going to be difficult to figure out how funding goes to which projects. We will be able to work with some of our at-large members, though, as well, to see how we can potentially support additional funding to some of our projects. So we'll be working on that in the upcoming weeks. I've reached out to Miles already. We're going to coordinate with our Commonwealth Transportation Board member first, and then we're going to reach out to him and the MPOs as well. And hopefully we can figure out the best route for funding all of these projects. So let's see. There was also an action meeting related to the Commonwealth Transportation Board. Some of the biggest items, there were some amendments to the 6-year improvement program for this area. Some money moved to support Virginia Highway Safety Improvement Program projects. And for the I-95 and Reeves Road project, some money was kind of moved around to support Tri-Cities project, the Appomattox River Trail. So a little bit of movement and money to support projects moving forward right now. And then there was also discussion about, let's see, Powhite Parkway project. There was approval of the proposed alignment, alternative 1A. So I thought that would be of interest for everyone to know. And also support to move forward with a contract to do some next-gen traffic operations data service for I-95. So there's a portion of I-95 corridor where we're looking to use data, real-time data, to get a better sense of why traffic is stopping, starting, and so forth. So a contract was awarded for that, so we can get some real-time data on that. I also want everyone to keep in mind, we do have trainings coming up as well. A lot of them are very full, but you can take a look and reach out to Amy. We do have our Smart Scale training this week. It is on Thursday at the Richmond District office from 8:30 to 3 p.m. And we'll be talking about pre-apps, full apps, as well as some lessons learned, how to get studies to get funded as projects, and so forth. We also have another PROAG training, but I think that's on the wait list. And PROAG is public right-of-way access and guidelines. That is January 27th from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. So all that is an update that we shared with you all. So those are some of the biggest things I wanted to share with you all. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Naomi.
Of course.
Madam Chair, I have a quick question for Naomi.
Yes,
Mhm.
what?
Is there a link or can you send me information on that PROAG training?
Of course, I will
Thank you
drop
so
that in the
much.
chat. Yes.
There's a couple people over here that I think would be very interested, and I'll pass it along to them.
Nice.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, we thank you for always giving us these training opportunities. It's very
Yes.
helpful. Yeah. Okay, and so are there any other TAC member comments from the other members? I know that I got an email. Maybe Sarah Keel can help me with this. Sarah Keel, did you want to mention about the changes to the executive board and the chamber event and the policy board meetings?
Sure. So there is an upcoming policy board meeting on February 5th. So typically we have our executive committee meeting that happens right before that, but the Chamber RVA is having their annual meeting. And since that is a very regionally significant event and a lot of our members will also be attending, we got approval from Chair Rogish to cancel the executive committee meeting, and then we're moving the policy board meeting to 10 a.m. So there will be no executive committee meeting, and policy board will start at 10. Everything should be reflected on the website, and all of the calendar invites have been updated. I know not everyone is included on the calendar invite updates, but everything on the website should be updated. So you should be able to access everything that you need.
Thank you, Sarah Keel. Yeah, so we'll just ask the localities to let their executive team members and policy board members know about that little change there in the schedule. Okay. All right, and so if there's no further discussion, our next meeting is scheduled for our meeting Tuesday, February 17th. And if there's nothing else, then we can go ahead and adjourn.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Happy New Year,
Thank you.
everyone.
Happy New Year.